Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Winnie. I'm a head of admissions outreach here at NUS College. Very glad that you actually make it here with us today. So for the next 60 minutes, not 60 seconds, we will be touching on a portion we call the global pathways. We'll explain a little bit about this shortly, but before I start, I would like to introduce my fellow colleagues. They're actually faculty members of our program. If I could have the speaker slides, please. So today with me, we have Julius, who is the Director for Impact Projects and at NUS College. Julius, you want to say hello?
Hi, everybody.
Okay, all right. So let me give you a little background of him. Julius is a senior lecturer and a director of impact projects at NUS College. And he was previously an associate professor at the Center of Southeast Asian Studies in Kyoto University in Japan. He did his PhD in Southeast Asian Studies at ANU and has been named winner in the Excellence in Teaching Awards from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, NUS, over a number of years. And my next colleague and another faculty of ours, Norman on the screen.
Hi.
Norman is a senior lecturer and director of the Global Pathways at NUS College. So prior to joining NUSC, he was a senior fellows at a SRSIS, and that's the S. Jayaratnam School of International Studies. And also he has held various positions in the Center of Excellence for National Security. So he will be sharing a little bit more on GX today. And the final faculty that I've got today, Kiet Hua, who will be joining us shortly. He is an A-star scholar. Kiet Hua received his PhD in chemistry from Princeton University and carried out postdoc research at the Institute of Bioengineering and Nanotech at A-star before joining NUS. Then, of course, on screen, you do see a student of ours, Silver. Say hello. She's dialing in. She's dialing in from Japan, actually. So she is a year 3 student at NUS College, as well as the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, and she's on the Waseda double degree program. And currently residing in Tokyo, she has just started her first year at Waseda. And she is a very active NUS College student ambassador and has completed her 1-year IEX project in Cambodia prior to departing for Tokyo just last month. All right, so that's the guests that we have. And of course, in the background, we have got 2 other colleagues of ours, our Vice Dean of Admissions Outreach. She's in the background together with my colleague, Benjamin. Yeah, so she's on screen. You do see her very often, as well as Ben as well, my partner in crime. All right, so with that introduction, a huge long introduction, we're going to go into today's session. So I think I'd like to start with our slide. I think it'll be good to have an overview, especially those who have not met us last month, because we are running a series of webinar on every month till sometime in January. So what is NUS College? So NUS College is the honors college of NUS, and we take about 6 to 7% of each year's year 1 cohort. So we are compatible with over 60 majors. And so we show you the degree programs that is compatible with us. So next slide, please. So this is what happens if you're an NUS College student. As you can see on screen, there is a yellow portion that runs from year 1 to 4, and that's where you will be pursuing your degree at a degree-bearing faculty, for example, physics or life sciences or political science, etc. And then you can see on the screen, there are 2 portions of blue. There's the light blue and the darker blue. That stands for NUS College. And that is where you can see that that's where our rest of the curriculum comes into play. So these 3 portions, the yellow, the light blue, and the dark blue, you will combine and you will complete in the 4 years. while you are at NUS College. But of course, those who are on the double degree, Waseda students, they will be doing a 5-year program. Right, so I hope that's clear. We're going to move into the next slide. So this is how a typical single degree student would schedule will look like. 3 portions with a 38% of the 4-year duration spent on the major, and then the rest of the courses would be almost equally divided between the unrestricted electives as well as the faculty common curriculum. So if you are an NUS College student, now look at your screen right now, you will see that this cinnamon color, orange color, bright orange color, that's us. And this will take about 5%. And just let me remind you that this is how an NUS College plus CHS student program looks like. Okay, so the portion of the NUS College curriculum will change depending on the major that you're pursuing. So we do have a full document, and will be talking about curriculum next month. So do join us on that that webinar. So next slide, please. So we're going to show you another chart right here. So like I mentioned, we do have 2 double degrees actually. So silver is actually on the Waseda program. It's a bit different, but I'd like to bring your attention to the very last, the bottom chart, the bar chart over there. That is for Sciences Po, which is a 4-year degree program. It's a bit longer in terms of the number of courses that you need to complete, slightly longer than an NUSC plus NUS student. And you can see that in the first year, the first 2 years, you will be spending your time in in France. So that actually means that you will need to apply for admissions at the very beginning. At the time that the application portal opens. That means you apply to NUS plus NUSC and to Sciences Po. All right, and then this is compatible. So Sciences Po double degree program is compatible with those who will be majoring in economics, history, political science, and sociology. Right, so with that away from, we're gonna move to the next thing. So I talked about the major that's compatible with us. So we have 61 that's fully compatible with us. If you look at that, these are the faculties with the majors, and you can see that your classmate, your cohort in the same class could be someone from the law school. It could be someone from computing school or science and engineering, could be doing a biomaterial science, etc. So this is the diversity that we have within our student community, right? So how NUSC enhances, we call it enhances your NUS degree, as you recall that that bar chart that I showed you. NUS College program will start on day 1 and ends in year 4 at the same time as you pursue your degree. We do it through 3 segments. Number 1, of course, the formal curriculum, which we will be talking more next month. And then today we'll be working on the experiential learning, and then the third portion is on the community. So with that experiential learning, we're gonna go into today's topic on global pathways. So on screen right now, you will see that we have global pathways. This is a requirement to graduate, one of the requirements to graduate from NUS College. And the objective is actually to open our student minds for a global orientation as well as global perspective. And on the right-hand side, you see that there are options available to fulfill this requirement. And today we will be speaking about the first few, which is the regional IEX, or actually we do have local IEX as well, and the GEX, Global Experience course that Norman will talk about, and then the double degree, which is the Waseda and Sciences Po. All right, so with that, I think we're going to start today's session, and we're going to start with the first one. I think, what is this experiential learning? Anyone would like to take that away? Yes, Silver, did you raise your hand? Julius?
Yes, I do. I would like to say something about that. First of all, hello everybody. Um, you go to NUS and get an NUS degree with the intention of enlightening yourself and enhancing your credentials, right? Experiential learning, in some respects, actually enhances even that because it's an opportunity for you to learn from not just professors, not just lecturers, and not just in the classroom, but actually it enables you to take advantage of the numerous learning opportunities that exist outside of that. And it's no accident that the tagline or the institutional mission of NUS College is to break open the classroom, because one of the most important priorities that we have at NUS College is to learn from experiences outside of the academic space. And there are various ways in which we achieve that. We are all looking forward to talking about the different pathways in which experience can be a very, very fruitful and meaningful experience.
So, so that sums up experiential learning. So something that you do more than what's within the four walls in the classroom from, and we already are providing a very diverse learning, a very enriching learning environment where the diversity in our student, as well as small class size, and a lot of facilitation from the faculty members. So yeah, so that starts off with the what is this experiential learning that we want? And so then, of course, then we said that, okay, so what do I gain as a student from this learning outside the classroom?
Yeah. So for me, because I've taken part in the regional IEX, and then I'm now doing the Waseda DUP, so I've technically completed the global pathways requirement twice already. And what I can say is that the experiences that I have gotten from these two programs that I was a part of is completely different. So for me, my regional IEX dealt with Cambodia, and my project deals with waste management in Cambodia. So we and my group in particular, we decided to lean more towards the education pedagogy and how we can help to teach the kids at this village that we are working with, the ways of managing their waste, recycling, reusing, and disposing of their waste properly. So for that, I realized that the research that we do to make sure that the strategies that we come up with in creating the education curriculum, or even just to understand the problem and conceptualize the solution, it's rather different from what I do as a philosophy major. But I still use my skills in research that I have gained as a philosophy major, and also, of course, like especially in the philosophy of education, philosophy of pedagogy. I use those knowledge that I gain as a philosophy major to complement my uh what I do as an IELTS student that creates education curriculums and stuff. So that's how it interlinked for me. And I can say that for IELTS in general, from my friends' experiences and also from my experience, we tend to need to step out of our comfort zone quite a bit, because not only are you in a group with students from other majors, and therefore you have to learn from them. Like you are also, especially for regional IELTS, you're also being and you're also going to a different country, a foreign country, and you are expected to liaise with the organizations there to learn how to have partnerships, and then of course learn how to manage your schedules while you're overseas and conduct a project. So I think that all these management skills that I gained from IELTS is really important, and it's not really something that you can do just by sitting in a classroom. Like I feel like you really need to get out there and expose yourself to the real working world, and that's what I found so valuable for IELTS. And then of course for Waseda, it's kind of like an exchange program where like you're in a whole different school. But then a double degree program means that you're getting a degree there, right? So we have to study, and getting to study in an educational institution that is different from NUS makes me realize like how different institutions have their own ways of like managing educations and stuff, and you don't get that just by learning about them in a classroom. You have to experience that. So for me, that's how valuable experiences was for me.
Okay, great. That's very concise. So that I hear that there is quite a bit of personal development. So you actually go through this transformation by going into the IEX double degree and learning outside the classroom, as well as I think the important point that you also have brought up, being comfortable outside your comfort zone. Okay, I don't know. So you want to test things out, right? And
Yeah.
learn and engage people that you may not be interacting on a normal day in a normal
Yeah.
sense.
Of course, I think NUSC, the environment that NUSC has, where it gives you like students from different majors, because we accept like over 50 plus majors and are constantly expanding, right? So the chance to get to learn from your peers that are taking different majors from you and therefore possess different kinds of knowledge from yourself is so much more valuable in NUS College than you might be in like your own faculty where everyone is like taking the same major or like similar major.
Understand. So now, I know that Silvia just mentioned that she is actually doing, she completed her waste management in Cambodia. And then, so Julius, question to you. So where are these, what's IEX about? Okay, maybe we can tell the audience a little bit about that. And also to share the location and how many teams have we got actually?
Okay, let me first start with the principle of IEX. So IEX stands for Impact Experience. And today we're talking about regional IEX, which means that we are talking about students who are implementing two-year projects in different countries across the Southeast Asian region. There are, at the moment, 5 countries where students are doing their projects. The Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, just to name a few of those. And just to connect with what Silver was talking about just there, the crucial thing about this is that you are cultivating relationships with communities in these places, which you would not normally have a chance to do. And there's a lot of learning opportunities in doing that, not just from the highs, not just from visiting, not just from exploring, but also from making mistakes, learning as you go. A lot of these are actually part and parcel of the process of conducting two-year projects in these communities. Now, I've only mentioned one half actually of IAX. I haven't actually mentioned the other part, which is you're not only learning from these communities, you're in a position to give back. You're in a position to contribute to these communities. And that's really coming from the pedagogical infrastructure called service learning, right? Service learning is a kind of experiential learning, right? Where you learn outside of the classroom. But the other part of that is that not only are you actually maximizing that experience, you're actually cultivating a way to contribute to the initiatives that are already being implemented in the communities that you are interacting with. And later on, I hope to share some examples of how our groups have been doing that, that they have not only been learning from these regional communities, but also conducting things. Silver mentioned that she is involved in enhancing waste management practices, right, Silver, in Cambodia? Well, that's just one example. There are many other examples of our student groups doing that. And I think that really is, in a nutshell, what IEX or Impact Experience is about. It's service learning in a community that you would not otherwise be involved with, learning outside of your comfort zone, both from the highs and the lows.
Well, that is a great overview. So the service learning portion, as well as that relationship that you mentioned, building that relationship with communities in these regions. So how are the projects grouped? Is
Yes.
industry themes?
May I take this opportunity to share my slide, Winnie?
Yes.
I'm just going to show you a little bit. I don't actually want to get too technical about the curricular features of IEX. I think now it's probably better to talk more about the principle of IEX. So I will just go through these very, very quickly, right? It's a 3,000 level course. It fulfills one of the pillars of the common curriculum of NUS. It extends over 2 years, which is important because it means that you're not just going to a community, staying there for, say, a few weeks, and then you can forget about it, right? These are relationships that you have to sustain over a period of time, which also has its own interesting challenges. Some students are going to be doing it over 1 year, depending on your enrollment, but also general features. I've just summarized here the three kind of distinctive features of IEX. And this pertains to your question, actually, Winnie, about how the groups are formed. The groups are composed of people or students who have a different profile to you. In other words, they are from different majors. And the groups are formed organically, I have to say. As the teaching staff, we are not going to take a top-down approach in allocating you into project groups. We actually try to step back on that process. And as a result, students have found their own ways to matchmake themselves into like-minded individuals who are interested in more or less the same things to do two-year projects on. Silver, can you relate? Can you share some of that experience of forming your group, perhaps?
Yeah, I was I was I was reminiscing really fondly on that when you mentioned Prof. Julius, because for my batch, we were the first batch to be doing IEX, and two of my batchmates actually came up with this like really creative idea. It's like a speed dating type of thing but it's so it's in that sense it's a matchmake of groups and individuals who still do not have a group to belong to yet, and they would go for this it was like a fair of sorts. It started off pretty small, but last year it grew, and I think it will continue growing as more and more students come in and they conceptualize their own ways to make this entire process like as fun as effective as possible. But for mine, that what we did was we had people come in to set up booths, and like each booth had its own quality to it. So for example, there's one booth for Cambodia IEX groups. There was one booth for Thailand, one booth for the Philippines, and then there was also booth for local IEX. And people would like individuals or even groups who were already formed, but they weren't sure which topic they wanted to do. They would go around and they would ask like people like, hey, are you looking for members or like what is this topic about? Like my group seems to be quite interested in this. Could you tell us more? And then of course, because we were the first batch, so we didn't have anyone to ask at that point in time. So what we did was we just used it to find individuals. But then last year they had a senior, so I went down and I helped out for the booth, and there were a lot of juniors that came prepared. Like some of them came like with a conception of what this project was going to be, and they just wanted to confirm. So it's very much a student run thing, and I think that's what's awesome about this thing.
Yes, indeed. So that actually encourages a process of self introspection. Like you have to think for yourself, okay, what do I care about in the community? Do I care about sustainability? Do I care about, say, enhancing digital literacy? Do I care about the environment? You think about that, and then you try to find other members within your residential community to see if there are any others who are also interested in similar things. And then you come together, but you come together with different expertise, right? Some would be a computer science major, would have something to contribute to this. Perhaps a literature major would have another angle to contribute. So in a way, that's how the groups are formed. They're formed organically and in an interdisciplinary way.
Okay.
Would you prefer me to just go through the other two, and then maybe we
Yes.
can open it up a little bit?
Yes.
The other two is I mentioned already, Winnie, and everyone, partnering with the community in different places in Southeast Asia. These can include NGOs, but they can also be driven individuals who are making their own advocacies. But the foundation of this is that these are members of the community who are already doing something for themselves. The important thing about IEX is that it's not about Singaporean students going in to save the community, right? Going in there to kind of like, um, in some ways, solve the problems of the community just by, by going in. Um, One of the important tasks of IEX is asset mapping. You identify what people in the community are already doing, what initiatives are already gaining traction, and find some way within your group's capacity to enhance, to contribute to that. So that's really the principle behind partnering with the community. I'd like to look at the chat box. I can't see the chat box right now. I just want to monitor if there are any questions. Please feel free to stop me at any time. May I continue?
Yes, please.
All right, so here's the third component of IEX, which is also something very distinctive, and that is it has a creative component to it, or an expression component. Now, at the final stages of project implementation, when you have already implemented and gone and visited the communities and interacted with them, you are given an opportunity to channel your creativity by expressing it creatively, either through some kind of performance, which you'll be able to share with the entire university community. This is typically, or this will be, the occasion for what's called an impact festival, in which the groups who have done their projects will work with creative practitioners in NUS College to find some way to kind of like perform or creatively express their experiences with their communities. So just by way of an example, one of my groups are working with communities in the Philippines on bamboo, right? To help a community utilize the bamboo resources that they have in their place. What they are doing is that they are actually looking into the folk stories about bamboo, the narratives that people have in folklore in the Philippines, and using that as a basis for a theatrical performance. Not a long one, just a short skit about bamboo. So the performance is about bamboo, but their actual project is actually helping people with the supply of bamboo and the utilization. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of possibilities here. Documentaries, dance, song, film. And I think that that's frankly one of the more challenging parts of IEX, but also a very, very meaningful experience, I think.
Let's see. So that means
it.
basically, sorry. Can I just, Julius, can I just ask, clarify then? So given that the students are actually given 2 years to come together as a project team and then propose to the faculty member on the project that they'd like to take on. And then they need to end the 2 year with this a participation in the Impact Festival.
That's right. Well, Winnie, they don't have 2 years to form the group. They have about the project starts in the first semester of the second year. So roughly speaking, it happens over a process of months for you to kind of find some like-minded individuals to get together with. And at the first semester of the second year, that's when you declare that, okay, we are part of a group. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yep. So, so the year 2 sem 1, and that's where they put together that group, and then thereafter the time to get this project going, and then to end it with the creative expression of the project. Yeah.
That's
okay.
Correct. Yes.
All right. Thank
I
you.
think, I would like to add in a bit. I think there's also the part where we have to find professors. So
Oh,
for
yes.
some groups that might be a challenge sometimes because like I think we've mentioned earlier, there's so many different types of projects and there's always constantly more. So it can like the amount of choice you get can be quite overwhelming. So that's why we have like this fair that the students came up with. And then of course the professors themselves, they have this IEX and GX fair where you also have the professors of each IEX project or GX project that they are willing to talk about. So it's a lot on your own self for like finding a group and then finding a professor that you're willing to work with and is also willing to take you in. And then of course coming up with like your project proposal, all these things. So it's a lot on your own self. And I think that reflects like the like university education as a whole and outside of the classroom.
Yes, thank you for that, Silver. It's a very good reminder. I almost forgot to mention it. Here are the supervisors for IAX. So there's an interdisciplinary group, but also an interdisciplinary team of IAX supervisors. Each of us with our own disciplinary and specialities. But yeah, they're roughly divided into 3 different kinds of clusters: science and technology, arts and design, and civic and community. So students do have the other opportunity to work with the guidance of these professors.
As well as to tap onto their network, because you talked about the already existing communities, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay. So, Julius, because of a time constraint, maybe we could share a little bit on the some of the regional projects that's already.
Yes, of course, no problem. So here is a breakdown of the regional projects that have been conducted in the 2023 cohort. As Winnie mentioned earlier, there is a possibility of doing IEX in Singapore, but as well, you can see here the breakdown of those who are doing their projects in different parts of Southeast Asia and different communities within those countries. Like, for example, in the Philippines, I have 4 groups doing it in different parts of the Philippines, right? So they're not all working together. They're working independently of each other. Now, let me give you an example. I mentioned earlier that I'm working with a group who is looking into bamboo, right? A problem that they wanted to contribute to is this one. There's an opportunity here for farmers to make a fairly decent livelihood with bamboo, and yet there is also a lack of opportunity to utilize that possibility because of a lack of awareness, because of a skills shortage, and this group is mindful of that. So what they have done is they have collaborated. The name of the group is Project Bayanihan here. And what they have done is that they have identified that, look, we want to make a difference to the younger people in the Philippines, and we want to enhance their education about bamboo. So they've got together and they've organized a series of workshops. Here they are working in the Philippines to expand awareness of bamboo-based agriculture with the intention of enhancing their business knowledge, make them aware of the different possibilities that they can cultivate with bamboo. But again, I want to highlight that they're not doing this by just going into the community and just telling them what to do, right? They are working with their supervisors, in this case, myself, but also working very closely with an NGO called Grow School, who have been working in this community for quite some time. And the process of IEX is trying to work with Grow School to determine, okay, how can we best utilize our skills, our knowledge as NUS students to contribute to youth empowerment in this region. That's one example. I'll say one more, Winnie, because I know that time is short.
Sure.
Just to give you a sense of the diversity as well. In Chiang Mai, in Thailand, the issue is that there are marginalized communities in Chiang Mai who are facing all sorts of problems because they are stateless. They actually don't have any official citizenship rights. And a lot of they also have, they're dispossessed. They have a lot of sort of problems with their own environment. And this community struggles to generate sufficient income. They remain precarious in that way. So what this group has done, and this is a group supervised by a colleague of mine, Peter Vale, who have chosen to work with banana chips. They have chosen to connect the community. There's a lot of potential there, of course, for growing banana, but how to cultivate that, how to elevate that. That's the challenge that this group is seeking to confront. And what they've done is that they've collaborated with the community to develop and sell a banana chip product. So you have not just poverty alleviation initiatives, you have livelihood enhancement initiatives here, right? Not charity, not just voluntarism, but it's actually helping to empower the community to take charge of their own income generation potential. And that's what they have done with great success. As I mentioned, there are ups and downs because developing a product is not easy. The marketing is not easy, and uh, all of these challenges are there. But nevertheless, that's the spirit of IEX, right? To have these projects and doing this and given time to do this. And there are many other opportunities to do that. I won't mention this one too much because this one is a local one, but I think I've given enough indication already of what the projects can do and their potential.
All right, thanks so much, Julius. So, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that the IEX for regional, we do have it in 5 countries. That's Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. So, we're going to move into the next segment, which is on GEX. I will be looping back to the two of you shortly. Hold that thought. So, we're going to go to GEX. Norman, if I could get you on screen. So, GEX. What is GEX and what's the objectives and how does it fit into a student's schedule? When does it happen? All these. Could you just enlighten us, please?
You just threw me a whole basket of questions, May. I mean, what can I say about the GEX? Is that this is probably the most awesome program I've ever designed for an undergraduate. The whole idea here is that I think we should begin in the beginning to best understand it. And there was an understanding that the university offered exchange programs where students would go out and do what they do with regard to their major, but in a different university, which is of great value. Don't get me wrong. I'm a product of an exchange program too. But we found that to be, to some degree, just a replication of the academic experience, but abroad, but offering growth, no less. And in the university as well, there's something called the NUSC, which effectively is NUS overseas colleges, which is a great product, which tries to push out people to do internships around the world. And it's very valuable if you want to get industry experience, if you're looking forward to what you're going to do at the end of your undergraduate university life here. But we thought, there could be something else there that is of value that is missing. So the GEX was designed, the global experience course, and the whole idea is to take students out for 4 weeks during summer, our summer term. I know we're in Singapore, but there is the term called the summer term, where you get immersed into either a city or a region, and the different cities and the different regions will why you're going out there is based on different themes. Do you mind if I share screen? This could be
Go ahead,
helpful
please.
actually right now. And hopefully it works. Okay, so this is okay, there we go. So what we're looking at here is that you have 3 regions right now as it stands, 13 possibilities. In Europe, there's Paris. In North America, we have New York, Toronto, and Chicago. And we have this huge list for Asia. You'll notice everything with a little slash there. That indicates it's a trip. So you will be traveling, which is quite a fun way to understand a region rather than just be tied to a particular place. And like I said, everything is linked to a theme. So if you go to, say, Toronto, for example, the theme that is the reason why you are there, the theme it's about governance and multiculturalism. How does a city like that, and also related to Canada at large, govern multiculturalism? How do you balance out the demands of minorities as well as the new minorities and all minorities which are indigenous and the white community there? You look at a place like Chicago. Chicago deals with agri-tech. So if you're into Chicago is the breadbasket is in the region, which is the breadbasket of America. Then you go there and you will experience how at the forefront of how they're trying to feed America. If you look at Asia, there's a lot of fun stuff in Asia. I wish I ran Asia. I run New York, but I wish I ran Asia. There's Bali, Lombok. You go out there 4 weeks to understand how communities are transitioning from an industry which like fishery, which destroyed the environment, to something that's more sustaining. You can go out to Sulawesi and understand the tension between development, understood there as the extraction of natural resources, and then the different levels of society that's trying to deal with it, at a governmental level, at a societal level, to the community level, to the individual level. I'll just pick one. I'm always stressed when I do these things because I feel as if I should do everybody. I should speak for every single one so that I don't upset any of my colleagues, and also because they're such awesome products. But I'm just going to go and speak about one more and then hope that questions come in. Nagoya, Tokyo is brilliant. It's about technology and Japanese society and how they are working together and creating you're trying to interrogate whether there's a Japanese form of culture and technology at the same time. I'm going to leave it at that. Winnie?
Yes, thanks so much. Actually, I do have a question. So I do have another slide that shows the theme to the cities, and we will flash it shortly. But as a student, how do I go about making that choice on where to go? Because do I go with my interest, or do I go for something that I actually got no idea? So I want to explore further as a discovery. How do you handle that?
That is an awesome question. That is an awesome question, and there are two things, and because two responses, because there are two different types of student. So, there are some students that, okay, I'm speaking from a personal point of view, I'm not speaking for the faculty. Students sometimes pick things that are completely out of their comfort zone. So if you come and you say, hey, I want to go to Chiang Mai because I have no understanding of how food is embedded into Thai identity and Thai nationalism. I'm a computer science student. I'm just picking something up. I'm not ragging on computer science students. So you go out there, you do your thing. You say you want to go out there to learn something new. That's one type of student, and I applaud that. I truly applaud that. And we look out for people like that. That most certainly. The second response that we get, which is okay as well, because perhaps you're a student who is really into, say, how culture is embedded within a community. And then you say, hey, I want to go to Yogyakarta because I want to see how society and art is interweaved. I get that too. We get that too as a faculty. I can't make the choices for an applicant. It's how you want to balance it out. But we like both. Actually, to add on to what I've just said, we like both because it adds difference on trip. And just bringing a heterogeneous group out there on trip actually leads to quite an interesting dynamic which everybody learns from.
So it's either you deep dive into something that you are already has got passion, or you go explore, discover something.
Yes,
That's
yeah. Do something new, or stay in your comfort zone. Either way is cool.
But yes, because I also picked up on the point about being outside the comfort zone, because that also appeared in IEX portion as well. Okay, so the last thing, I mean, the thing is, these trips are actually organized by our colleagues in special programs. So there's an itinerary. So I would like to ask from a parent's perspective, I mean, how safe are these trips? Because I'll be concerned. I mean, I've got a daughter, 18, 19 years old, going away for 4 weeks. Yeah, that portion, could you help me address that, please?
I'll have a daughter too, she's 13 and she went on a trip like that. I'll feel as if it's safe as houses. We certain safety is the first thing we think about when we design these things. And having said that, people also should put aside their worries about safety, because you need to, when you go on a trip like that, you need to think through as well. This is a good thing, by the way. This is a learning experience. Whatever I'm going to say right now is a learning experience for students. So if you go on trip and you're concerned about where you're at, we try to check the students, because this is a learning moment. You check the student, you say, are you uncomfortable because you are deposited in an uncomfortable environment, or are you uncomfortable because this is new? So you have to make the call within your own head. We help you. We ensure that you're completely safe. Okay, nothing's going to happen. But you have to process that in your head too, to learn that do not be afraid of the novel. And that's why experiential learning is so important, to circle back to what we began the conversation with. It's about depositing you, and it's not just about the academics. It's also about you growing as a character. So I mean, I really shouldn't. I was trying to avoid speaking about New York, because that's what I run, and I don't want my colleagues to say I'm selling it, but I don't, but I have to. So I take him out of New York. New York has a reputation. People are sometimes concerned, right? And by the first week, I expressed to them what I just shared. People come down, and then by the fourth week, when we're about to go, they go like, this place is not scary in the slightest. It's just different, And that I think is a great moment when people click to that, when they click. Do not be afraid, The new is not terrifying. The novel is not terrifying. And that's why, like Julius was saying earlier, about taking people out. This is a very different experience from what you would encounter if you sat in class doing seminar. I'm not saying that it's unnecessary. I'm saying this just brings something different to the table.
I completely agree with that, Norman. Just to add to it, like Norman said, the safety aspect is the priority that we implement. But what does that actually mean? On a practical level, what we do at NUS College is that, well, Norman and I, for example, have attended a lot of courses on psychological first aid, physical first aid, how to handle sort of difficult situations specific to student trips. Not to say that we are there to be first responders, but really to inculcate this notion that prevention and anticipation is the most important thing to ensure the safety and security of those who are going on these trips. And to do that, we do receive a lot of training as faculty and staff as well, so that we can then sort of harness the learning potential from being outside of the classroom and being outside of the comfort zone. And I've learned a lot from that process, right? Not so much that I'm thankfully I've never had, the opportunity. I've never been in a situation where I've had to sort of, implement those lessons. But it taught me as an educator a lot about how to anticipate potential issues.
If I were to comment a little bit with a student perspective, I can completely understand the worries of safety, especially when you're overseas alone or like without your family, parents for the first time. That happened to my group for IEX. And we went in Cambodia, which had like a reputation as well, right? So but I mean the professors clearly take care of us really well. My professor did. And also for the IEX team, they had like safety protocols that everyone has to follow, of course, to keep everyone safe. And then we also had like first aid people per group, at least one per group, someone who's first aid trained, and therefore becomes like the safety officer to help ensure that safety is always the first thing on our minds when we are overseas. So I think if in that regard, like yeah, like what Prof. Norman said, like safety shouldn't really be too much of a concern when you're thinking of whether to sign up for such programs.
Okay, great sharing. Thanks. I mean, it's nice to hear from, different perspective, from a student's perspective, from the organizers, and the staff, and of course the people who are in charge of all these activities and projects. So the very last segment, I'm actually going to be bringing Kiet Hua on screen right now about the double degree, and Kiet Hua, and also maybe we can have that slide on our double degree program as we move into that. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have 2 double degree programs with NUS College, and that's so on your screen right now is on the right-hand side. That's the Sciences Po as well as Waseda. So Sciences Po is a 4-year program with the first 2 years in France, and then the 3rd and the 4th year in Singapore, where you get 2 degrees certification from Sciences Po and NUS, and then you, if you successfully complete there, and you will get 1 more program cert from NUS College. Waseda is a 5-year program in total with year 3 and 5 in Japan, and then the rest of the time in Singapore. Again, 2 certs, 1 from Waseda, 1 from NUS, and then that's the degree cert, and then the NUS College certificate. So Kiet Hua, so we kind of like went through earlier that for Sciences Po, that you need to apply at the beginning, and it's compatible with students who want to major in economics, history, political science, and sociology. So the thing is, it being in France, there's always this question. It's like, hey, do I need to learn French before I go? Do a crash course? Is it instructed in French and this language barrier? Could you talk a little bit more? Yeah, but
So I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I unmuted. I repeat myself. Not to worry. Most of there are many courses that are relevant towards the completion of requirements towards the DDP are conducted in English, but of course, there are other courses conducted in French, and for the students who are fluent in French, you are more than welcome to take them. But there certainly is not an intrinsic requirement that a student needs to know French in order to be able to take the courses requisite towards fulfilling the requirements. In fact, the program has been designed in this manner, at this juncture, so as to be able to encourage local students, who may not have had the chance to immerse, in French, to be able to take on this opportunity to go over to Paris, for this immersive, experience. Now, thereafter, you will certainly, bring back, some of the credits, you have earned in Sciences Po, and I think this aspect probably has been shared with you earlier. So please don't mind me if I repeat a little. Yeah. So being a double degree program, the student is expected, to fulfill the requirements of both programs, and of course, on top of that, requirements. It's pretty, intensive as well as rigorous curriculum at the same time. But the acad team, whom I work together with, we have, come up, with a list of courses that we can take and can be met, onto NUSC requirements, and some of them for the major requirements, so that even though you will still need to take slightly more courses than the regular student, but it is not that onerous that you would have to sacrifice, your time, onto, I won't call it a sacrifice, but to devote, excessive amount of times, while you're in Singapore, while you're in NUSC, towards fulfilling the requirements that you won't get to immerse yourself, in, for instance, the residential aspect of college life, which obviously is very important.
Sorry, Kiat Hua, we can't hear you very well. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Hello, mic test. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So I'm not sure how much I managed to convey, but maybe I won't repeat myself, but if there are more pertinent points that I should re-emphasize, perhaps Vinny can advise me.
Yeah, I think we got the point that the instructional language is in English, so you really don't need to speak to learn French before you go. But however, with if you do have the language, and you should be because you're staying in France, so if you do pick that, that will be for your outside school life. But of course, it's always good to immerse yourself in the environment.
Yep.
Right.
Yep,
And
precisely.
I believe that I've actually met Elena year 4. She was from ACS Independent. She's now in year 4. She speaks fluent French right now that she's back here in Singapore.
Yep.
So so the just a reminder that to apply for this program, you will have to complete the NUS application form and then complete the NUS College section of the NUS application form. And also there will be another portion to apply with Sciences Po. So there will be selection process into this program. We do have a question here from Jing Wen. Approximately how many students are usually admitted into Sciences Po DDP program? We got that number?
Right now,
You're missing again?
So-
About we're not hearing
Yeah,
you.
maybe I'll jump in.
Yes.
So I think typically we can have even up to 10. Yeah. Just apply. Don't worry. Yeah, just apply. And we actually also assess all our DDP applicants for NUS College as well. And sometimes if a candidate doesn't make it, doesn't get selected for the NUS Sciences Po DDP, they actually end up coming to NUS College and have a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. So so that's for Sciences Po. Then Waseda. Now I'm just gonna bring Silver back on screen. So this is actually an opportunity to at this point in time, it's up to 5 students from NUS College and the university itself, which is the School of International Liberal Studies. So if any of our audience would like to find out more, you just Google and you will be able to find that information as well as on our own website. So now, just a reminder that for Waseda, you will be applying only after you started your studies with NUS College. Generally, at the first year, I think Silver can share a little bit of her experience.
Yep. So for Waseda, applications will typically start at the end of your first year or so. So I think for me, it was a little bit delayed. So typically it's like during the February, so that's that's after the winter break of your first year, and then so you apply around there, and then the interview, like if you manage to pass the first round of the application period, and then you go into interview will happen around May to June, so that's your first year summer, and then the results will come out around late June to early July. So that's typically the application period. You can find that on our website as well underneath the Waseda DDP program selection part.
And the instructional language, do I need to speak Japanese, learn Japanese?
Okay, so no, I've got a friend here who knows 0 Japanese when he's here. So now he's taking a course for Japanese 0 beginners. And but I would say that knowing like simple phrases like how to greet people, how to say thank you, how to order maybe would be very helpful before you come, because for Waseda the term starts in early October, and but for the dorms, like the exchange dorms, you move in mid September. So there's going to be like a period of 1 to 2 weeks where you'll be living in Japan, but you won't be like taking classes yet, right? So I think like what Winnie mentioned earlier, if you're going to be living in a country, it would be very helpful for you to know at least a few basic phrases of their language. So I would say it's highly encourageable for you to learn a little bit, but it's not necessary at all, especially in Tokyo.
Okay, well, thanks. So you have actually just started school like last week, but you actually
last week was my first week of school.
So you're integrating well. So one final
Yeah.
question on Waseda program, because as mentioned, it's a 5-year program with year 3 and 5 in Japan. So does that actually mean that for students in this program, because we've seen Sean's poll, yes, you do some additional, but it's still within 4 years. But for yourself now, you have 5 years, an additional year. Does that mean that you do a lot, very much more?
Well, no, not really, because within NUS itself, there's also double degree programs, and for them, that's also a 5-year long program typically. So we do the same number of units as them. The requirement is now 200 units instead of the basic 160. But I would say that like, because in Waseda, like the structure is a little bit different than NUS, where they don't allow you to take that many that many courses, even if you want to. So there's a heavy prioritization on life outside of academics, which is also what NUS College kind of like drives at too, right? So there's a lot of emphasis on like you joining events or like doing things outside of school that will help supplement your basic education in Waseda. So I think that you would typically have like a little bit more of an easier time here, because you aren't required to take that many modules, and those courses, their type of like assessment criteria is not that strict as well, because again, they want you to live life outside of the classroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just also a reminder to our audience, for NUS College, we do assign a peer mentor at the beginning of year 1. So that peer mentor will most likely be someone in the same major as you are, and then he or she will kind of help you to map your 4-year journey or 5-year journey in Silver's case, how you're going to mix and match your courses, etc. So these are your seniors that you will be assigned to by our ACAD team. So this is some of the support that we do provide at our college. So I think I would like to wrap up, maybe bring everybody back on, and for your last closing statement before I do mine. Anyone like to start off with?
Maybe I can start because I'm okay, last closing statement. I think do give it a shot. Do apply to NUS College if any of the things that you said thus far interest you. And of course, do look out for future webinars that we might talk about other things that are happening at NUS College. This is just a really small part of it. And of course, you can check us out on the website or our social media pages for more information. Yeah.
Thank you. Someone else? Kyeohwa?
Right. I think I just want to add on that unlike the Salesforce program, in which there isn't a definite requirement for you to take French, but for the Waseda, you actually have to take Japanese when you're over there. So you may not be fluent in Japanese, you may not know Japanese well. This is a chance for you to pick up the language.
Yeah.
So in short, one has to be intrepid linguistically. Yeah.
Very well. Julius and Norman?
Yes. If I could just respond to a question on the Q&A section there, asking about whether there are any other programs like IAX in NUS or elsewhere. I'm not aware of any other program that gives you 2 years to cultivate a relationship with the community and give back to the community that's still part of your curricular responsibility. So in that respect, it's a unique and really meaningful part of the NUS College pathway. So I'm encouraging everyone to, to make the most of that opportunity.
Thank you. And Norman, over to you.
I had to drop out for a bit, but I assume you're trying to answer the questions on that have come in, and the one that has come in about a selection criteria for, I assume, GEX. And the question is whether there's a quota for each destination, grades dependent, eligibility criteria for all regions. The simple answer to that is that all GEXs are very intimate. We try to keep it that way, so the numbers are 25 for each trip. In terms of being able to come on trip, like I said earlier, we look out just for students who have an interest in it, and they all come out in your personal statement, which we expect, and it'll come out as well. We ask you, each GX lecturer designs a trip specific question that they want answered, and they will look at that, and this to get around the Chat GPT thing. We just want to actually get you as a human being and try to figure out what you're going to be like and what you're going to get out of it. So don't try to game it, and don't worry about too much of that. Pick the GX where the theme resonates with you and just go for it. Don't think too much about, am I going to be eligible or whatever. We'll figure that out as we go along.
All right, thank you so much. And for my closing, I think I need my slides. For me, I think there are a couple of reminders here. Of course, we're gonna start off with, get the slide on screen. We do have this one. This is really important. We are actually opening our applications next month. So on screen, you will see that on the left, the light blue is the qualifications that you will be applying with. And then on the middle is the start date. So anytime from next month onwards, all the way if you're Singapore, Cambridge A-levels, that will be later on. And then the closing date as well. So do take note of those days, and I would suggest that you do submit your application before the deadline. Okay, and then of course the usual, we do have some more events coming up. So the next slide will show you some of the, this will show you the upcoming events. Of course, today is on the Global Pathways. As you can see that it is on the Saturdays at 2 p.m. So just make a date and put a reminder. And you can always screenshot this. There's a QR code that leads you to our website that you can actually go and register for these events. All these listings are up on our website already. So then, of course, do join our mailing list, which is next. There's a QR code as well. Do take a screenshot. You can fill this up later on, and you will be able to download a full deck of slides. This is what I've presented today. Is not the full deck, but you will get the full deck, so you can have a bit more information of what we didn't touch on today. So, and of course, if you do have any questions, do go to our website. Go down to the end of the page. You will see a contact us. If you have admissions questions that's related to NUS College, go and key that right in and contact us. Or of course, if it's related to admissions in NUS, if you actually do send it to us, we can just forward on to our colleagues, but otherwise it's Ask NUS Admissions. All right, so for me is that I've already told you, application is opening, so do work on that, and I do hope that I'll see you on campus sometime. So with that, we're going to sign off. We're going to say goodbye. The sky has cleared off, so hope you can get some fresh air. Go enjoy your Saturday evening. All right. Thank you so much. See you next month for curriculum. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Winnie.
Bye.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.